forget all you know about podcasts. We welcome you to an experience uniquely different. Please join us for our coverage of all entertainment on the fringe of society. The candles are lit, the lights are down low. It is now time to welcome our host as he steps up to the pulpit. The sacrifice has been prepared for the midnight black mass.
We're back here on the Midnight Black Mass, and it is my distinct honor and privilege to bring to you the frontman currently of Warbeast, but a guy who's a metal legend in his own right, been around for many years in the Texas metal scene. You might know him as the frontman of Rigor Mortis. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Bruce Corbitt on the Midnight Black Mass. It's a pleasure to have you, sir.
Hey, man, happy to be here.
Well, I just want to talk about Warbeast and what's going on with you guys, bringing that old school thrash metal sound. The biography I love. The roots of Warbeast are firmly entrenched in the legendary 80s Texas underground metal scene. And we want you to talk about some of those bands and just some reflections of that scene and how powerful it was to metal.
Oh, shoot, dude. It was a great thing as it was, evolving, and it was like the birth of the scene in Dallas-Fort Worth. And, of course, you mentioned I'm from Rigor Mortis, but it was also at a time when Rotting Corpse, Gamicide, Sedition, Hammer Witch, Morbid Scream were all emerging out of that scene. And we pretty much had to just create our own scene because back then, they wanted you to play cover tunes and different sets throughout the night, and we wanted to play original stuff. And plus we were getting into that thrash, which meant mosh pits and crazy stage diving. Not many of the clubs would allow that and didn't want us in there, but that's why it was so cool, because we did pretty much create that scene. And once we did get in a couple of clubs, like Joe's Garage was one of them, they found out that we had such a good diehard following of fans that then the next thing you know, other clubs and venues around wanted to start booking us there too.
Awesome. And now the project currently is Warbeast. You guys currently on tour with Down as we speak here, the last night of this tour. How has the response been? And the burning question, quote unquote, is, of course, has the Weed and Speed tour lived up to its name?
Oh, without a doubt, it's lived up to the name. Obviously, we represent the speed part of the tour, but we've also added another name to that, the Hash and Thrash tour. So we're the speed and thrash part, and it's been great. And yes, the grand finale tonight. We've done 3 legs with these guys starting back in September, and we went to Europe with them, and now we're finishing up tonight, and it's been like amazing. Over 40 shows altogether, opening for Down. How cool is that? I love the guys, every guy in Down as it is. I'm fans of the guys from the bands they came from. I'm a fan of Down, so I never get tired of seeing their shows, and they've welcomed us on the tour. They've treated us like family, and you're going to see something special tonight for the finish.
Oh, I'm very much looking forward to it. It's always fun when you catch bands on the last night of the tour.
Oh,
they've been there, they got that pent-up aggression, they're ready to go out there and throw the fuck down. So out fucking standing. And speaking of thrash metal, just briefly, for people who aren't familiar with Warbeast and what you guys are all about, explain to them, if you will, why it is an absolute must that they tickle their ears with the demonic thrusts of Warbeast.
Well, me and Scott Shelby, our guitarist, we come from that early wave, the first, line of thrash bands. That's what we've been doing our whole lives. And it's just, it's non-stop aggression, energy, intensity. It's feeling like we're going to hit you with a sledgehammer from the start of our show to the finish. And if it doesn't get your adrenaline going and make you want to just go out and feel like kicking somebody's ass or drive 100 miles an hour on the highway, then no other kind of music will do that. That's what thrash metal is to me. I just can't explain. It gets the blood pumping. I would never want to sing for any kind of style of music because I just get to go full out, full force from start to finish. And in Texas, we don't know why, but we got our own kind of sound when it comes to thrash, and I think you know what I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah.
When you know, all the great bands from California, that thrash scene, the German thrash, and the other areas, well, we just kind of got our own unique style of thrash in Texas.
Damn straight you do, and it's one of the best in my opinion.
Thanks, man.
And you talked about the tour with that, of course. How about that relationship with Housecore Records and what Phil has developed? And do you think, with the rising trend of technology where it is really putting the power back in the hands of musicians, do you think that's the wave of future? And do you care just to talk about how that's going and your relationship with the label?
Yeah, of course. I mean, it's not like it doesn't feel like a business when we're with Housecore. And I mean, we say it all the time. It's like family, brotherhood. It's a collaboration, teamwork effort. And I wouldn't want to be on any other label in the world. Phil, of course, he's got our back, you know. And so he's there for us, and he's been on our side of the business end of it. He's, you know, from a band himself. So that helps when a guy is looking out for his band, because he, you know, naturally has got to think of his label, but he wants what's best for the band, and he won't do anything unless we're happy. You know, I don't know if you got questions about him being our producer, but, you know, we've got him to produce all of our recordings so far.
Is it actually, yeah, what is it like in the studio with Phil? Is he a stern taskmaster?
Well, you know, you go in wanting to do your best for Phil right off the bat. So we come in prepared mentally, physically, and we're just so sharp and ready to go. But he's not like that kind of boss. He is more to try to get the best out of you. It's more like having a trainer in your corner for wrestlers or boxers or whatever, and he's there to let you know if something needs to be adjusted, improved, whatever. But he won't do it, you know, in a strict way. He'll do it in a way like he knows how to work with each of our personalities. Somebody like me, I don't go well if somebody's going to hurt my feelings or yell at me or something.
Right.
So Phil, he knows that about me. So what he does is he'll make me laugh if I'm doing something terrible, you know. So he'll mock me, he'll like imitate me, and next thing you know, I'm cracking up and I get what he's trying to get across, and then I do it again, and usually it comes out way better.
Well, speaking of that collaboration, fans, War of the Gargantuan split EP with Warbeast and Phil Anselmo's first solo material out now from Housecore Records. Go get your copy at housecorerecords.com. Bruce, I know in any art field where you're pouring your soul into something, your blood and guts, your works are often a reflection of different philosophies or inspirations in your life at that time. Were there any differences in said inspirations, rather, going into recording the tracks for Destroy versus the Crush the Enemy material?
Yeah, absolutely, because for the first time I took it upon myself, I wanted to do like all the lyrics for every song. I mean, with Rigor Mortis and the first Warbeast album, I was always open to other members writing some of the lyrics. But, you know, I wanted to push myself and prove I could do that. And, of course, yeah, that left the door open for me to write songs that I wanted to write about. But, you know, our guitarist, Scott Shelby, when he comes up with the blueprint and the early stages of the song, sometimes he would have an idea for a title or a suggestion that he wanted me to write about, and I feel like I'm good at that too. Even if I don't know what I'm writing about, I'll research it all. But inspirations, I wanted to throw in some of my Rigor Mortis, you know, that's where I come from, so naturally I want to have some evil songs on there, like about gargoyles or werewolves and, you know, some stuff like that. But then, I mean, I got one called Egotistical Bastard, which is, you know, I think everybody's met those kinds of individuals, you know, and there's some humor into that kind of song. And then there's a song I wrote that's going to be coming out later in the year. I wrote about my brother, who was the closest person in my life, and I always wanted to pay tribute to him. So I wrote a song about my brother. I mean, we got everything from a song called Warbeast, which is about the movie Death Machine, which is have you seen that?
I'm familiar with it. I haven't seen it, but I know of it.
And then, you know, War of the Worlds, that classic H.G. Wells movie. I wrote a song about that. I mean, a little bit of everything, good variety with the subjects of Warbeast.
Awesome. Well, we're going to wrap it up here pretty soon, Bruce, but we were talking a little bit about this off the air, and I want to just, if I could trouble you to just provide some reflections of the late Mike Scaccia, who just recently passed away on stage. We mentioned in a great way, or, a great way for an entertainer. Never a great way to do that, unfortunately, but just if you could share with the fans some memories of Mike.
Yeah, Mike Scaccia, man, my best friend in my life, most important friend in my life, because if I wouldn't have met him, I would have never gotten to be in a band in the first place. But my best memories of Mike was, I had the privilege and honor to just be, hanging out with him sometimes, where he was just sitting there on my couch and playing his guitar all day. And I mean, imagine if you could have known Randy Rhoads or one of the legends like that, and had that honor to just sit there, and that's your friend.
Yeah.
And just to watch him play. And the thing about Mike, he could play anything. I mean, everybody knows him from Rigor Mortis and Ministry and his other bands, but I mean, he could play anything, dude. I mean, classical and, jazz, blues, country. I mean, it sounds crazy, but just to be with someone that talented, and to be able, it could be like a TV theme song or anything. He would whip it out just like that. He'd know how to play it, even if he never played it before. But just to have a friend like that with such a talent and gift, and to be best friends until the very end on stage at my 50th birthday. I mean, I'm kind of jealous because I wish I could go out in such a cool way. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man.
So, good for Mike the way he went out, because that's legendary in itself. The man, he was a great human being. We've said it many times. He had no ego. He was a very, very humble human being, man.
Outstanding reflections there, Bruce. I appreciate that. And just finally, before we go, if we could consult the prophets and the soothsayers of the universe and ask, in a perfect world, what does the future hold for Warbeast?
Well, if we could go out on tour with Slayer. I mean, if you're a thrash band, who else would you want to tour with, right?
Is that more thrash than a human ear can handle? Will you just have heads exploding everywhere?
Yeah, we might be. But then again, I'm asking, because that's one of the hardest things to do in the music business, is to open for Slayer. I mean, it's always been known since the 80s, because their fans are so diehard and loyal, they usually just want you off the stage. So while you're in between each song, you're like trying to introduce your next song, and they're like, Slayer. That would be a dream. I mean, just to get to go out on the road with a band that was such an impact on the whole thrash movement and a big influence on all of us. That's all couldn't get any better than that for us.
Outstanding. Well, there you have it, folks. Bruce Corbitt of Warbeast. You can purchase their album right now, the split EP, on housecorerecords.com. You can also go to their website at warbeast.org, and you can find them on Facebook at Warbeast. Thank you. We'll be back with more Midnight Black Mass right after this.